Okay, so in last class we have discussed about this if statement and else statement, and we have discussed about few with the help of few examples. And you have seen, I think yes, we have done only if statement. So two problems we have done. Uh, Two problems we have done, and see, we have seen that how we can use the if statement, and we have seen that if you are using any if statement, after that you have to write down the logical statement. So we have taken two examples. In one example, uh, only one relational operator was used. However, in the another example, we have seen that we are using the relational operator as well as the logical operator after the if statement. We have also seen how to look for the output display. If you want in the output display you want the string as well as the number. So this point we have seen, and we have also seen how you can incorporate the number in a string in the title statement. So the process is same. You have to decide which one is your string and which one is your number, and if you decided that, then only thing is whatever the strings you have, you write inside the code, and in the place of number which you want to convert into string, you should write num to str and that number, and before that you should use a comma. So all the strings should be written inside the code, and the number which you want to convert into string, that should not written inside the code, but instead of that you should write num to str and that number. The next point is about the else statement. So if you have two different functions, like you take this example that y can have two different values depending on what is the value of x. So here it is given that if the value of y is greater than or equal to 0, means if x is positive number, then the value of y will be under root x. But if x is not a positive number, it is less than 0, then its value will be e raised to power x minus 1. So you see that here that you have two conditions. You have two different, means here the functional value is more than 1 depending on the condition. Initially, before this point, you have seen that the conditions are different, conditions are given, means more than one conditions are given, but under that condition the functional value is only 1, so you can use a simple if statement. But if in the given problem the functional value is not a single value, it is more than one, it is having two values, having actually two value under a given conditions, then with the help of only if statement you cannot write this, so we have to use else statement along with the if. So what is the syntax for this? The syntax for this if else statement is, you will write if, whatever the logical expression you have you will write here. Okay, so if the logical expression will be the output of the logical expression will be 1, means the whatever the logical expression you have written that is true, then the you will go to the statement point, and whatever you have written over here it will be executed. But if this logical statement whichever is mentioned here is not true, it is basically false, and the output is logical 0, then the control will go to this else statement. Okay, so it will not going to see whatever written over here, it will directly come to this point else, and then it will execute whatever written over here. So you have two functions. One function is x is greater than or equal to 0, then your y is equal to under root x. The another one is if it is not satisfying this condition, means it is less than 0, then you can write e raised to power x minus 1. So same program you can write in two different way. Either you first define this condition, okay, means you define that if x is greater than or equal to 0, then this is the function, else this is the function r. You can define if x is less than or equal to 0, then your function is this one, else your function is this one. So we can write this program. So what you want x as an input. So first give this input. It is always better to give the input to the user, to the user control. So right here enter the value of x in one space. Now it is up to you what statement you want to write. So I'm writing in a way it is given to you. If the value of x is greater than or equal to 0, greater than or equal to 0, x is greater than or equal to 0, then what is your y? Then your y is square root of x, sqrt of x. Else what is the value of y? So if it is not a positive value and it is not a 0, then of course it is a negative value. So if it is a negative value, then you write y is exponential x e raised to power x minus 1. Now you want to show the output, you write display. You want to write the value of x is equal to some number. Okay, some number will come. Okay, suppose you want to write the value of not x, the value of y, the value of y, the value of y for the value of y for x is equal to no some value is this one. So you can write like this: the value of y, the value of y for x is equal to num2 str, whatever the value of x you have given, write it here. X is, so this is equal to was is equal to is also a string is num2 str, the value of y. So I hope it is clear to you. So what it will print, whatever the value of x we will enter here, okay, it will print that the value of y for x, whatever the value you have entered, is equal to the number of y which has been calculated from here. So let run this program. So still busy. Okay, all right. Now it is asking for the value of x. Let me take the positive number. So I'm taking 4. See, it has given you the value. The value of y for x is equal to 4 is 2, right? So this, there's no separation between this num2 str and is, so that is why this 4, there is no spacing between 4 and is. So you can make it like this. If you write like this, so whatever the value of x you have given, that is also printed over here along the value of y. So it's up to you how you want to show your output. Accordingly you can write it. So again I'm taking say 9 value here. So it will execute it. The value of y for x is equal to 9 is 3. Now if you run the program and check whether it is working for the negative values or not, so just I'm writing say -2. Okay, see the answer. The value of y for x is equal to -2 is this value. So if you want to check it, you can also check it with say exponential -2, okay, -1. See, the answer is same, right? So this is about the else statement, where you can use the else statement. All right, so let me run it again so that I can send you the PDF file. Okay, so let me check it for 4. The value of y for x is equal to 4 is 2. This is one example. Now after that I have taken another example for the same um, if else statement, and for that let me first make all these as a statement. Okay, so now what is the next problem? The next problem is write a program to calculate the square root of the array if all elements are positive or 0, else calculate the square of the number. So what is your input? It is given that your input is basically a suppose a row vector, and you want to calculate the square root. You want to calculate the square root of the array if and only if and only if all the elements are positive or 0, else if any number, if any number is a negative number, then you calculate the square root. Okay, so basically you have to calculate the square root when when it is a positive number, and uh, if it is not a positive number, then simply it has to calculate the square. So you have to give the input value, so you write x is equal to, say, you can give the input, or suppose if you want to write some value here, let's write x is equal to -2, 2 and -4. This is your x value, and then you want to write if x is greater than or equal to 0, then what you will do, you will calculate the value of y, which is sqrt of this number x. Else, if the condition is not satisfied, then you calculate the square of the same number, so x dot square, and you also want to print the value y, right? So you want to print the value y, simply you can write display, and you write, say, y. Now you check whether this program is working correctly. Is it correct? See, uh, see here, one of the number, when you have given one array as an input, it is going to compare this x, this 0 is going to be compared with 2, and it is going to be compared with -4. So of course 2 is greater than 0, but -4 is not greater than 0. So even if whatever the output you will get here, it is a array of 0 and 1. If any of the element of the array is 0, it will assumed as a 0. So one of the statement is not giving you the one output, logical one output, so it will go to this point and it will perform this operation, which is the square one. Okay, now suppose, just to check it, suppose I've written 1, 2, 1, say 3, and say 4, but one of the value is, say, -1. Again check it. So you have number of elements I have increased, and out of these elements only one is again a negative number. See what it will do. Even one of the, whatever the length of this vector is there, even suppose the length is 100, means the elements are 100, and out of 100 one is negative and rest are positive, so all 99 are giving you the correct condition, but there is one logical 0. So even in that condition, it will say that this condition is not hold for all the elements, so that is why it will go to this point and it will do this operation whatever you have mentioned over here. But now suppose this is, if all the elements are positive elements, see, it will calculate the square root of all the number. The first one is the square root of 2, second one is the square root of 1, and so on. So this is the condition when you have two functional values. So if you have two functional values, right? So for two given condition, you have two functional value, you can work with if else statement. uh, there is another flexibility given to you where you have which you can use for the two statements when the functional value is 2 or more than 2, right? So if this is called if else if statement. Okay, so this will give you the more freedom for writing the expression. So you can write it, we can use this expression if the functional value is uh, based on the given condition is 2 or more than 2. So what is the first thing is, what is the syntax for this if else and else if statement? You can write if the first logical expression which you want to write, you write if first logical expression is there, if this condition is true, then whatever the functional value is there you want to write, you write over here. Okay, now if this condition is logical expression is not satisfied, you want to write the another condition, so that you can also write by writing the else if, give one space and write down the second condition which the logical expression you want to write. If this logical condition is true, then you want to have certain, the calculation, some certain functional values, that functional value you write over here. But again, if there is another logical expression, if these two logical expressions are not satisfied, you have the another logical expression, the same logical expression again you can write. So you can write this expression n number of times. So if you have, say, the 10 number of conditions, so all 10 number of the conditions you can write over here with the logical expression 1 2 3 with the help of else if. Okay, otherwise after that you can write the else and then end statement. So basically what you have if, then you have number of else if statement, number of else if statement which you have to write, and finally you have to write else and this end. So else statement is must, else statement is must statement. So you have to write if else and finally end. So each if loop will be closed with and statement. Okay, and if you are using else if statement, the else statement is must. All right, so I'm taking the another example. This example is what we have written here, and in the no, the previous version of the MATLAB, this was the condition that else must you have to write. But now, all the in the newer version, even if you don't write the else statement, that will also work. That will also work. Especially Fortran वगैरह में तो अभी तो नहीं पता, but earlier it was a problem. You have to write down the else statement was must. But now, right now, it is even if you can work with if and else if statement. For example, here you have the two different values of y is given under two different conditions. So if you want to write this with the uh, you can also write this program with the help of only else statement, but if you want to write with the else if statement, so that you can also do. So you want to give x as an input, so you write x, and I think the same, no, we are in a different section. So let's write x is input, and the input, let's write here enter the value of x, give one space, close it. Now you write if what is the condition? The condition is given if x is greater than or equal to x and less than 5. The value of x is greater than or equal to 0 and it is less than 5, then you want to have some functional value. So first write down the condition. So you have two conditions, x is greater than or equal to 0. So this is the first condition, and what is the second condition? Second condition is x is less than 5. If these two conditions are satisfied, okay, the value of x is such that it is satisfying these two conditions, then you want the functional value y, then your y will be sqrt, square root of x. So you can also write else statement. Else your value should be log of x. But if you want to write the else if statement, you write else if your x is greater than 5. So what is value of y? Y you want to write log of x. You want to write here the value of uh, again you can write here the value of y, the value of y for x is equal to num2 str value of x, the value of x is equal to this is some value you want, just value you want to write is num2 str, and what is this? The value is y. Now let's run this program and see. It is asking for the input value x. So just first take the input value x between 0 and 5. Say I'm taking okay, so let's take 3. So see whether it is going to calculate, because if you take x is equal to 3, the condition here the logical output is 1, so it should calculate basically the square root of 3 value. Press enter. See, the value of y for x is equal to 3 is 1.7321, which is basically the square root. So it is doing the right calculation. Now if you again want to check it for the second condition, so for the second condition enter the value 5. So the problem is here we have written no, here is the condition, we have written a wrong condition. See, x is not greater than 5, it is greater than and is equal to 5. So this kind of condition you should also take care, right? So I'm writing this is equal to 5. Now see, let me enter the value of 5. See, it is giving you the value of log of 5. Okay, so this way you can use the if statement along with the else if statement. Now just to explore it again, I'm taking the another example where we have 3 conditions. In one condition the functional value is log of x, in the another condition the function value is under root x, and the last condition we have the functional value is e raised to power x minus 1. So let's write this program, and first let me comment it. Okay, so x we want to enter, so write x is equal to input, enter value of x, enter the value of x, semicolon, and then all the conditions we have to write. So if you, it is up to you in which order you want to write down the conditions. So write if let me write it in this way, because if x is less than 0 then this one, but if x is not less than 0 but it is greater than or equal to 0 and less than 10, then this functional value, and if the value of x is greater than or equal to 10, then this function value. You can write in any order, it will check one by one only. So if x is less than 0, your y is e raised to power exponential x minus 1. Else if x is less than or equal to 0, this is one condition. And what is the second condition? The second condition and x is less than 0. X is less than 0. No, sorry, x is less than 10. So if the value of x is such that it is satisfying this condition, then what will be functional value? the functional value will be sqrt square root of x. And if these conditions are not satisfied, the value of x is greater than or equal to 10, then you can either use the else if statement, or you simply write else. Write else. What is the value of y? The value of y is log of x. Log of x. Now you want to see the output, we can write down the same output. Whatever we have written over here, you can copy it from this one. Okay, now check. Okay, so let's check the first condition. I am taking the value x is equal to minus 10. X is equal to minus 10. So it is giving the value which is something minus. Okay, so of course it is not going to calculate the square root and log of this number. It is calculating the e raised to power x minus 1. And if you want to verify, you can verify this also from here. Just take the x in place of x, write minus 10, and see, the same answer will get. Same answer. It is point 9999995. Here they have not used the format long, so it is just giving this answer. Maybe if you use the format long and you write down the answer is minus 0.999995. Okay, so this is for the first condition. Now if you want to check it for the other condition, whether it is working fine or not, so just take the value of, say, x is equal to 9. So 9 is less than 10, so it should calculate the square root of 9. So the square root of 9, it is giving the value, square root of 9 is what is giving value? 2.17. I think it should give 3. Why it is giving 2.19? Or you have not checked the condition I have written is not correct. X is greater than. This condition is not correct. Nobody has pointed it out. X is greater than or equal to 0 and less than 10. Now take this x is equal to 9 and see the value is coming 3. So whatever the condition here we have written, it was not the correct condition. Okay, so that's why it was not giving any error. It was just coming to maybe the log of this we are calculating, maybe log of probably the log of 9. Yes, it was doing the calculation of log of 9. So you have seen that each the part of the condition of the if statement is working fine. So this way, if you have more than one condition, that you can also apply in case of if statement. So usually the if statement, usually when we write any program, a part of the region where you have to apply certain condition, so that condition you can apply in this particular way. The only thing you have to decide what is the condition is given, and the same condition along with the logical and relational operator you have to write. Okay, so this is all about the if statement. Is there any doubt in this, or we should move forward to the loops? Is it all right to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if it is all right, then the next part of the program, which is very much essential for writing any decision making program, is the loop. And why we use the loop? From the name it is very much clear that if you want to operate, if you want to perform same operation more than one time, then you basically use a loop. Okay, so suppose you want to calculate the square of number 2, right? So one time if you want to calculate, you can write x is equal to 2 square. It will do the calculation. but the same calculation means you want to not want to calculate only x, the square of number 1, but you want to calculate the square of number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. Okay, so more than one time the same operation you want to do, then we use a loop. Okay, now the loop can be calculated in two different ways. Maybe the question can be asked like, suppose I have asked you one question that you write a program which calculate the, you know, the square of number starting from 1 to 100, and you just make a table in which the first column should be for the number and second column should be for the square of the number. So this is one question can be asked, that you calculate the square of the number starting from 1 to 100, right? Now the second question may be asked that you start calculating the square of number starting from 1 until its value is no smaller than certain given value. So it is not given that you have to calculate 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square and so on, but certain condition is there. You have to continue this process of calculating the square unless and until the square value of the number becomes greater than certain number. So जैसे एक नंबर से ज्यादा हो जाए, मे बी 82 से ज्यादा हो जाए, तो आपको स्क्वायर कैलकुलेट नहीं करना है. So since there are two conditions are there. In one condition the number of loop is known to you, कि कितनी बार उस लूप को रन करना है, that you know. In the second case you don't know how many number of times you have to run the loop, but you know condition. Okay, you know the condition. So based on this two loops has been given in the MATLAB. One is called for loop and the next one is called while loop. I hope it is now clear to all of you when we should, what are the two different conditions to run a loop, and based on that condition only two loops are given. The for loop is a loop which is preferably used when you know that how many number of times you have to operate the same operation. Okay, so when the number of terms is known to you, in that condition you use the for loop, and the condition where the number of terms is not known but the condition is known, in that case you preferably use the while loop. I am using this sentence preferably that because it is not necessary that whatever I have mentioned, like अगर condition दिया है तो आप while loop use कर सकते हैं, preferred है, but for loop के साथ भी वो कर सकते हैं. For loop के साथ अगर if statement use करेंगे तो while loop वाला भी काम कर सकते हैं, तो ऐसा कोई जरूरी नहीं है. और similarly while loop के साथ अगर आप if statement use कर ले तो for का भी काम कर सकते हैं, है ना. But preferably it is given that when the condition is given then you should use a while loop. Otherwise if the number of steps is fixed then you should use for loop. But it is up to you. Practice में किसको prefer कर सकते हैं, किसमें ज़्यादा comfortable है, you are free to use it. Okay, so I'm first taking the for loop. What is the condition for the mentioned number of times? For loop जब आपको पता है कितनी बार आपको कैलकुलेशन करनी है या कहाँ से कहाँ तक जाना है ना, 1 से लेके 10 तक जाना है, 1 से लेके 100 तक जाना है आपको, है ना. जब फिक्स्ड हो तो आप क्या यूज करते हैं, फॉर लूप. एंड व्हाट इज द सिंटेक्स फॉर द फॉर लूप? द सिंटेक्स फॉर द फॉर लूप इज यू राइट फॉर, ये सारा स्मॉल लेटर में ही होगा, यू राइट फॉर एंड देन यू राइट डाउन वन वेरिएबल. फॉर लूप एक वेरिएबल होगा जो रन करेगा. ओके, एंड दैट वेरिएबल यू डिफाइन दैट वेरिएबल इज इक्वल टू starting value. What will be the starting value of the variable, what will be the increment, and what should be the final value of the variable. And then inside you write down the statement, and finally you close this loop with the end statement. So for each for loop there will be one end statement. So एक for loop के लिए एक end statement होगा. एक से ज्यादा for loop यूज करते हैं, मतलब for loop के अंदर अगर for loop यूज करते हैं तो हर for loop के लिए आपको एक end statement रखना है. ओके, सो हमेशा जब भी लूप होता है उसमें कुछ एक तो आपको लूप वेरिएबल रखना होता है जो लूप को रन करता है ना। सो वो हम लिखते हैं नॉर्मली फॉर लूप में जस्ट आफ्टर दी फॉर। सो आई एम राइटिंग फॉर लूप वेरिएबल is equal to what is the starting value of the loop variable, what will be the increment, and what will be the final value. And statement which you want to write, you will write here, and finally you will write down the end statement. So each for loop is closed with the end statement. यहाँ जो लूप वेरिएबल है वो आप लूप वेरिएबल स्केलर भी ले सकते हैं, आप वेक्टर भी ले सकते हैं, आप मैट्रिक्स भी ले सकते हैं, बट मोस्ट जनरल केस जो होता है दैट इज फॉर द स्केलर। Usually we take the scalar value. So here we'll discuss about the case where we have the loop variable is a scalar value. जो लूप वेरिएबल की वैल्यू होती है वो हर लूप में चेंज होगी। ओके, तो आपको भी समझ में भी आ जाएगा। Then I will take one example. So like in first case it will take the first value, in the second loop so first it will take loop value की value सबसे पहले क्या होगी, it will be the starting value you have given. Okay, it will take that value, it will do all the calculation here, then it will go here end statement, and finally it will go to this place for loop. Again it will take the next value, the next value will be what, starting value plus increment, and with this value it will do all the calculation. Again it will go to the for, and again the next loop variable in the next pass the loop variable will be the starting value plus 2 times increment and so on. So this process will continue unless and until the loop variable will reach to the last point, टर्मिनल जो भी आप फाइनल पॉइंट्स आप लिखते हैं, राइट। सो एक जो प्रोसेस होता है उसको हम बोलते हैं वन पास, है ना। जो एक प्रोसेस होता है वन लूप को हम बोलते हैं बेसिकली वन लूप इज रेफर्ड एज पास। Okay, so this is about the syntax of the for loop. Now I will take one example to explain the working of the for loop. See, the question is, I have taken one question, and yes, the question is write a MATLAB script file to calculate the sum of the first 20 terms of the series. तो मैं सीरीज क्या दी हुई है, सीरीज दी हुई है 3m square sorry 3m cube plus 2m square minus 6m, and the value of m is from 1 to 20. तो हमें क्या लिखना है, एक मैटलैब प्रोग्राम लिखना है जो बेसिकली इसके जो फर्स्ट 20 टर्म्स है उनको ऐड करे, राइट। सो ओके, सो इसके लिए क्या कर सकते हैं, आप देखो क्या करना है, ये जनरल टर्म दिया हुआ है, दिस इज द जनरल टर्म इज गिवन टू यू 3m क्यूब प्लस 2m स्क्वायर माइनस 6m। अगर आपसे पूछता कि इसकी वैल्यू निकालिए m इज इक्वल टू 1 के लिए, तो आप m इज इक्वल टू 1 के लिए निकाल लेते, 2 के लिए निकालिए 2 के लिए निकाल लेते, 3 के लिए निकालिए 3 के लिए निकाल लेते आप। लेकिन अभी आपको पूछ रहा है कि आपको सेम प्रोसेस करना है 1 के लिए, 2 के लिए, 3 के लिए, 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 अप टू 20, एंड देन इसका जो भी है उसका समेशन निकालिए। सो सेम थिंग यू हैव टू रिपीट to n number of times, and then you have to calculate the summation. So this you can do with the help of for loop. How you can do it, you write for, okay, the m you want to change, m is the variable, m you want to change from 1, what is the increment, increment m का increment कितना है 1, और last value आप कहाँ जाना चाहते हैं 4 20. Then what you want to calculate, you want to calculate the value of y, and that y is what, 3m cube, 3m cube, 3m cube plus 2m square, 2m square, 2m square minus 6m. Okay, so I'm not using here dot caret and dot star and dot caret again. Why? Because in a loop when you are running a loop and you are taking this m value, in each loop or in each pass, this the loop variable will having a single value. यहाँ single value होगा, इसमें क्या होगा, फर्स्ट लूप में m की वैल्यू क्या होगी 1, सेकेंड लूप में m की वैल्यू होगी 2, थर्ड लूप में m की वैल्यू होगी 3, फोर्थ रन में इस m की वैल्यू 4 एंड सो ऑन. So whatever the value of m you are taking here is a scalar number. So that is why you need not to take this dot caret. If you use dot caret, it will not give you error. Okay, but हमें finally क्या करना है, we just हमें just इसका calculation नहीं करना है ना, हमें इसको calculate करने के बाद add भी करना है. Okay, so that we can do in two different ways. One of the way and easiest way is if you simply write y is equal to this one, what it will do, it will calculate the value in each term. अगर आप देखना चाहते हैं, just see what it will do. See, it is taking m is equal to 1, doing this calculation. So in each loop it will calculate the value of y, but finally if you just put the value of y here, it will give you the last value, because it's in each loop the value of y is replaced with the next value of y. So the previous value of y is replaced with the new value. So when you do all this calculation and simply write y is equal to this, it will do the calculation for all value of m, but the previous value of y will not be stored. Okay, but your job, what is your job? Your job is to calculate the sum. Your job is basically to calculate the sum of this. So you can do this in two different way. एक मैंने आपको पहले भी बताया था कैसे सम करते हैं. आप शुरू में सम डिफाइन कर लीजिए और बाद में उसको ऐड करते जाइए. राइट, सम की वैल्यू आपने 0 लिखा और बाद में आप सम को ऐड करते जाइए. एक तो वो तरीका है. दूसरा, आप y को स्टोर करते जाइए. लाइक आपने y को आई थिंक एम्प्टी मैट्रिक्स डिफाइन किया, फिर स्टोर करते गए. ये मैंने तरीका पहले बताया हुआ है. The another way of doing this is you write m here. The moment you write m here in the first loop, here it is not simply m, y, it is y of m. Means in the first loop, whatever the calculation is there, it will do the calculation by taking m is equal to 1, but that value is stored in y1. Means now y is not a scalar number, y is a array. And in the first loop it will calculate y1. In the next loop it will calculate y2. In the next loop it will calculate y3, y4, y5 and so on. So in this process, if you write y of m, means you are storing the value of y in an array. So the value will not going to be replaced. Previously it was replaced because you have simply written y. So if you write like this, you can do the same thing in a very small number of steps. अगर एक तरीका था कि आप इसको स्टोर करने के लिए, वैल्यू को स्टोर करने के लिए नल मैट्रिक्स डिफाइन करते, फिर इसके अंदर ऐड करते. But the another way of doing this, if you are using a for loop, we can do like this. And once, now if you want to see what is the value of y, simply write here y. You will see that all the values of y are stored. You want to see as one column, so now see all the values of y are stored. Next job is to calculate this sum. Very easy. Write sum of y. Sum of y you can calculate by using sum of y. And after that you want to write display. You want to write the copy. You want to write sum of the first 20 term of the series is equal to num2 str, and what is the summation we have used? Sum underscore y. Now you see Run this program. The sum of the first 20 term of the series is this one. Suppose you want to make this program even more, the user friendly. This should be user controlled. So what you can do it here, the you know the series is given, this series is given, but you want to have the addition of this number, this series, for the n number of terms. Okay, so that the number of terms which you have written 20, this you want to give the control to the user. So that you can also do, you can write n is equal to input, enter the number of term of series. Okay, and then you write here n. Now the program is see the number of term, whatever the number of term user will give to you, up to that number of term the addition will be calculated. And now this n is not fixed here 20, so you can write like this, the number of sum of the you instead of this 20 you want to write n, use here quote, and then comma, you write num2 str, number 2 str, and n here. Okay, then this is your you know this is your again the string. So you can write the sum of the first, give one space, this much term, give one space, of the series is this one. Now see. Okay, so I'm not given space, so control C, let me do the control C. Right, I need some space. In order to check this, if you want to check it for the 20, you write n is equal to 20. It will give the sum of the first 20 terms of the series is this one, C number. Again, you want to check this for the some other number like 10. See, the sum of the first 10 terms of the series is this one. So this way, by using these logics and simple commands, you can make your output much just which is very the user friendly. So because number of controls number of controls you are giving to the users. Let me just run this. Yes. Okay, so this is when your loop variable is scalar. There are conditions where you can take the loop variables as a matrix as well, so that problem I am not taking care right now. Now another problem is given to write a program. So this is the given script file. Sorry, this is the given function. This is the given function, and you have to write a program to make a plot for this. Okay, so see, plot means you need to have x value and y value, and then you will make a plot. So what is the value of x and y? Range of x is given -5 to 30. See, the range of x is given -5 to 30, and so x is given. Y is not a single functional value. अगर y एक single functional value होता तो x एक वेक्टर जनरेट करते और y उस functional value को लिखते, then plot command लिखते. But अभी आपके पास दो तीन conditions हैं. So what you will do? First you will write what is the value of x. X is from -5, and take the increment of 0.00. You can take the 0.001. The last value you want to go up to the 30. Close it. Now, after that, you will just see the conditions. If what is the value of y? If x is equal is if x is less than 0, so you can write if x is less than 0, then what is your y? Y is 10. Okay. Else if your x is greater than or equal to 0, this is the one condition, and x is less than 0, sorry, x is less than 9. If this condition is satisfied, then what is the functional value? Functional value y is 10x, 10x plus 10. Else what is your y? Else y is equal to, we are writing 15 into under root 4x. Yes, under root 4x, y have written root 4x. Anyway, it is written, then you write root 4x, whatever. Otherwise, under root 4 is 2. Anyway, whatever written, we can write it for the same. Under root 4 into x and plus 10. But see, in this case, it is not going to save the value, so you have to be very careful. So what we can do, we can save the value. One thing we can do, either we can save it by so if we write like this, that will create a problem. Like see, the value of y will not be saved. Every time it will give a single value. So what we can do apart from this, this is given to you. Okay, so instead of writing in this way, instead of writing in this way, what we can do, we can calculate how many number of points are here, how many number of points of there in the x. So that you can do either by using the linspace command, so there the number of points will be given. But even if you are not using the linspace command, by using the length of x, what is the length of x of is given, you use a for loop, like you write for m is equal to 1 to length, length of x. You use a length of x, and if you use a length of x, then you can use it here like m. Oh, it is you write here m, you write here m. So you can do in that way also, but you have to use the another way to save the output. So if you want to make a plot, then you must have the value of y for each value of x. So how you can do it, that you can do by using a for loop and running the all this calculation for the given for loop. So what I have done here, see, I want to save all this value of y. So once the x has been written over here, okay, I have just calculated how many number of elements are there. Okay, suppose there are 10 number of elements, so I want to do the calculation for each 10 value, right? So same thing I have done here. It will take the different values of x, and I will run this loop for that number of time. So if you write m is equal to 1 colon length of x, the value of m will start with 1 and it will go up to the last element, of this x. And in each this process, what it will do, it will basically save the values as well. Save the values like m1, sorry, y1, y2, y3, and y4 depending on its value of x. So now you write plot x comma y. If you plot x comma y, we have two end. Okay, so one end statement is for the if, the another end statement is there for the for value. For loop. Something is not assigned. X and y is having different number of x. Okay. So we have not written m here. So now instead of writing x, we can write x of m. Yes. Okay. Yes. It will do the one by one calculation for each values of x. So this x will basically generate all the values of x. Okay. And say अगर इसको अगर हम small करें, just take the interval of 1, what x will calculate? The moment you write x, it will calculate the x is minus 4, minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, and it will go up to 30. So what is x1? X1 is basically minus first element, minus 5. What is x2? X2 is minus 4 and so on. Okay, so I have first calculated how many number of elements are there, so that will calculate with uh, the length of x. So I have run a for loop, and that for loop will start from 1 and it will go to the last element. So when I am using m is equal to when I'm using the m is equal to 1, it should take the first value of x and then it should do the calculation for that value of y. Similarly, when I am taking the second element of x, it should do the calculation for the second element of y. So that is why you have to write like this. Now see, okay, probably we have not used a semicolon, so it is showing all these values. Let me, yes, I think, yes. Now once again run this. So see, it is giving this kind of three different behavior of the curve depending on the given condition. Now this is about the for loop. In case of for loop, you can also do one more problem which we have not written over here, is about the, say I am writing another problem for this. We have to write a program of the Fibonacci series, and just a minute. I'm writing another program for the Fibonacci series, and I hope all of you know about the Fibonacci series. Fibonacci series is sequence in which the next term is basically the summation of the two previous term. Like you write 1, the first term is 1, second term is 1, second term is 1, the third term will be the addition of the two previous term, which is 1 plus 1, 2. Next term will be the addition of the two previous terms, so 1 plus 2 is 3. Next term will be the addition of the two previous term, like 2 plus 3, so it will be 5. Next term will be the addition of two previous terms, so it is the 5 plus 3 and 8, and so on. So suppose you want to write a program of which basically prints the n number of Fibonacci series. So the point is how you are going to approach this problem. The problem in which you have to write a program for the Fibonacci series, right? So first you should try to understand what is Fibonacci series. So like we have mentioned just before, the Fibonacci series you are writing like 1, then 1, then 2, 1, 1, 2, then you write 3, write 5, write 8, and so on. So what is the nth term? So what is the nth term of the Fibonacci series? So if I define all this Fibonacci series with f, where you are storing these all values, so f is an array, what is the nth term? So your nth term is basically the summation of the two previous terms, n minus 1 plus n minus 2. This is the only logic for the Fibonacci series. In Fibonacci series, the nth term is the addition of the two previous terms, right? And the first term and second term is 1. So now your question is you have to write a program which prints the first n number of Fibonacci series, and that n should be again user controlled. So how you can write down this program? You write n input, you can write the enter the number of term to be printed. Okay, so this is the message you will print. Okay, now you know that the first term and second term is always 1. So and if you want to store this Fibonacci series in a variable named f, then you define the first element of this f is say 1, define the second element of this f is 1, and after that you basically you have to do the addition, and that addition you have to do n number of times. First you will add 1 and 1, then you will add 1 and 2, then you will add 2 and 3, then you have to add 3 and 5, then you have to add 5 and 8, and so on. So means same process, addition of the two term you have to repeat n number of times. So you have to use a for loop. You write here for loop, and here you write m, a variable is m. That m should start from where it should not start from the first term, it should not start from the second term, because the value of the first term and second term you have already defined. So it will basically start from the third term. Okay, it will start with the third term, and yes, it will go up to the n minus 1. It will take third. Okay, n number of terms you have to plot. Okay, alright. It will go up to the 10th term. Now, what is the formula? That formula you have to write here. F of m is f m minus 1 plus f m minus 2. And then you write here n. Now see what it will do. It will first ask the user to enter the number of terms up to which you want to print the values. Suppose the user is given n is equal to 5 term, right? So it will fix the value. It will fix this value n is equal to 5. Now f1 is 1, f2 is equal to 1 you have given. It will take m is equal to 3. So if you take m is equal to 3, it will calculate f3. So f1 is equal to 1 आपका है, f2 is equal to 2 is also 1. Now if you take m is equal to 3, starting value 3 रखनी, क्योंकि 1 and 2 आपने already define किया होगा. So the moment you define f is equal to 3, so it will calculate f3. What is f3? f3 is f2 and plus f1. f2 and 1, f1 is 1 plus 1, 2. So f3 is calculated. Now it will take the next value of m. The next value of m after 3 will be 4. So it will calculate f of 4. So what will be f of 4? F of 4 is f of 3 plus f of 2. F of 3 is 2 and f of 2 is 1. So it is 3. Now after this m is equal to 3. Now what is the value of n? N is equal to 5. So m will go up to 5. So it will take m is equal to 5. M is equal to 5. It will give you f4 plus f of 3. What is f of 4? So 3, and f of 3 is, you have calculated 2. So it will add this. So finally you will get f1 and f2, f3, f4 and f5. So this way you can write a program uh, to print the first n number of MDK series, where the number of terms, the control of number of terms you have given to the user. So I'm just writing the program. N is equal to input, enter the number of terms, enter the number of terms to be printed. Okay. Now after that you are defining f of 1. F of 1 is 1. F of 2 is 2. Sorry, f of 2 is 1. You know that first two terms are 1 and 1. Then you have to write down the general term. So you write for m is varying from, not from 1, not from 2. It will go up from 3 and it will go up to point n. Now what is the general term? The general term, you will write f of m is the summation of the two previous term. So you can write f m minus 1 plus f m minus 2. You want to see the term, you simply write f here and this, just execute this. So suppose you want to print 10 terms. See, the output is 10. This is 1, 2, 3 only. Just sorry. This is column. Taking some time. If you write the same code in the MATLAB editor file, that will not take so much time. Okay, you have to enter the value. See, it is, the first term is 1, then 1, 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 2 is 5, 5 plus 3 is 8, 8 plus 5 is 13, 13 plus 8 is 21, and so on. So in this way you can, the moment you look into the program, see what is the question is given to you, and what are the inputs, what are the outputs required, what is the condition is given, whether it is condition you have to use with the for loop, whatever the condition is given means you have to do it by n number of terms, same process means you have to use a loop, and if there is a logical relational operator, accordingly use the if loop and if else statements, right? So is it clear for the for loop?
Yes, sir.
And even I have not taken any example for the plotting, So I'll just take 5 minutes break and then I will come back.